Well, hey, everybody. Happy Friday. A day late and a dollar short, right? I know. I meant to record yesterday, didn't get to it because of the hectic travel day. We got home way late, which I'll talk about here on the show because today I'm going to be talking about hot takes from the trip. Just a few quick highlights because it's a mini show. Monday will be a full trip report on the podcast with Ricky. I'm going to record that tomorrow, but I am just back. And, never want to miss a show. And I appreciate you being here. So we're going to record this and get this out ASAP. So let me get to the page here and we'll get started with the fun. Oh my gosh, I have to verify my device. This is my main computer. Did you change the password on Disney Plus? Anyway, my daughter just changed the password on Disney Plus. So that's interesting. Let's see if I get an email here in the next couple minutes and then we can get started. I don't know why it needs to verify my main computer, but we're going to have fun here. Let me pull up my Google Photos so I can have something to talk from. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. It was awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see. Whenever your next trip is, you are going to have so much fun. Let's go here. Come on. There it is. All right. If this link was you, it was me. It's Mike in the Midwest. Okay. So let's look here and see what feedback we have. If we have any, because it was just trivia. No, we have one. Cool. All right. Let me get a drink of water or Coke Zeros, I call it, and we'll get started. All right. Let's do it. Episode 56. Episode 56. All right, here we go. Did I miss the button? Well, hey, everybody. Happy Friday. And welcome to Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. Yes, you didn't miss the show. I'm a day late and a dollar short, as I am many times in life, but big travel day yesterday and got in very late last night. And with the best of intentions, the plans were to get home and to jump into the studio right away. And you know how that travel day can be when you get delayed on your flight and things just start dominoing from at that point. So, we're here on a Friday and we've been home probably about 15 hours or so, jump back into the email. We're helping people plan trips, catching up with everything that has gone on since I've been out of the office. We are also watching Superdog Riley at this point. So, readjusting to not eating good stuff every couple of hours, not swimming in an awesome swimming pool. Yesterday, as I'm recording this, I did pilot the Millennium Falcon with my wife as the co-pilot. We got to do Rise of the Resistance, saw Frozen Ever After, the sing-along with my daughter and her friend. Yesterday was awesome. And now today I'm back in the studio. I'm doing what I love. So, I mean, life isn't too bad when you get to do what you love, and it's because of your support. So thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to always talk to you about Disney and our favorite things. And, of course, here on Mike in the Midwest, it's more of a story of what it came to over these past 47 years of my life growing up here in Missouri. But you're a Disney fan, and I wanted to share this with our patrons. And it's kind of my first thoughts from the Disney trip, from getting back to Walt Disney World. So let me jump into this right away. First of all, we have one piece of feedback from last week's show, and I want to thank the human hashtag Scotty G for joining me to do a little 90s trivia. We were both terrible at it. I have to admit, we were terrible. We came up with this idea at the last minute. I was trying to record, 2 weeks worth of shows before I left, so we didn't have any gaps in the content, and I couldn't come up with something pretty exciting to talk about. We are going to get back together. We're going to talk about baseball stadiums that we've been to in the Midwest or in the upper Midwest, all around the Midwest, and give our thoughts on those. But on this one, we decided to play 90s trivia. We were terrible, but I know a couple folks reached out and said they enjoyed playing right along with us. They got more of them right than we did. So yeah, this shows we're a couple of yahoos, but we had fun with that. We enjoyed it. So hopefully you might have as well on a run or a walk or doing the dishes or what have you. From last week's feedback, we have Christine Hood. Thank you so much for giving some feedback here on the Patreon page and being a patron. I sure appreciate it. She says, great podcast. I was listening while making dinner, answering the questions until I was reminded of Joe Carter and his walk-off home run off Mitch Williams. Ugh. That was the heartbreaker for us Phillies fans. That's definitely a do you remember where you were moment for me. That 1993 Phillies team was so much fun to watch. Now, I will say, just as a baseball fan, right? I think, if your team's in the series, you remember like exactly where you were. 82, we won the World Series. I was a little kid, but I remember, going to the skating rink. It was all Cardinals fever, and I did see it there. When Suter struck out, I can't remember who it was for the Brewers, but you remember that moment. Gerald Porter caught it. They hugged at the mound. David Freese's home run for Cardinals fans. We remember that stuff. But the thing was, I think all baseball fans remember 93, right? Because that was kind of the end of baseball there for a while because the strike happened after that, the second strike in 94. And so, that was it was a sad moment for baseball, as I recall. So that's interesting. Christine goes on to say the last time we were in Walt Disney World in 2017, we were watching the movie in the Canada Pavilion for the first time. And they had to show that moment. Yeah, I'm sure that Joe Carter was the hero in Canada there for the Jays. As LOL, all you heard was my husband and I at the same time exclaiming, "Are you kidding me?" It was all good up to that moment. When you're from Philly, you're used to it. Great shows as always. Enjoy your vacation, Christine. Thanks, Christine. That is awesome. Again, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Phillies because my dad's buddy won the Cy Young Award when he pitched for the Phils back in 83. So I do got to say that I did meet some hardcore Phillies fans that they didn't listen to the podcast, but it's a quick story. I got to tell you this story real quick. Again, this is hot takes on it kind of relates to this. So if you don't know baseball, if you're not a baseball fan or a sports fan, how can I say this? So Phillies fans are very passionate. The Philadelphia sports fans, the Eagles, 76ers, what have you, especially Phillies. They're passionate about their teams and they will cheer their heroes and they will boo their heroes and they'll really boo the people they don't like. Philadelphia Eagles game years ago, they're famous for booing Santa Claus. I think it was Christmas Eve at a football game. Anyway, we're in line to get ice cream at La Glaces, the ice cream place in France, because we were there to see Epcot forever on this trip. Of course, fireworks were like one of my main things. I'll talk about that here in a second. It was about 8:00 and the fireworks weren't until 10. Epcot was open until 10 the whole time we were there, and the fireworks were at 10. So we had a little bit of time. We wanted something sweet. We'd had dinner a few hours before and we wanted ice cream. It was 9:00 is when we got in line. Sorry, I know my details are bad. I'm sleep deprived. So we decided to go down to the Italy Pavilion to get that the gelato that Ricky talked about. But when we got there, it was a little bit after 9. It was like 5 after 9, and they were closed. So we said, okay, where else can we get ice cream here in Epcot? So we went back to France. Super long line, but it was open. And while we were in line, it was kind of funny because the line was really long. But Joe Fickus from the Lizards came up and he talked to Scott and I, and our whole families were there. So we kind of hung out and talked about 5-10 minutes about all the Run Disney news, what the plans are for Wine and Dime Marathon, so forth. And caught up with Joe and his wife. Great to see them. And then one of my great clients over at the Magic for Less, John, dropped in with his son to say hello in the line. And so we chit-chatted for a while about the show. He just kind of popped in. Then another listener was about three people in front of us in line and came back and said hello. He heard us all talking, heard the voices, heard myself, heard Scott. And so we chit-chatted for a while. So the people that were directly behind us were from Philadelphia. And so the woman turns to my wife, Pam, and says, what's his story? Right? Why is everybody coming up and talking to him? Like, what is who is this guy? And so immediately my wife just comes back with, that's my husband. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. And so quickly I saw an opportunity, right? So I said, have you heard of the St. Louis Blues? Because I didn't want to go baseball. I want to make, kind of throw them off a bit. I said, have you heard of the St. Louis Blues? Yeah, I played for them in the 90s. And so they're like, what, really? And the husband, I think, was looking it up on his phone. And so then I finally told him, no, I'll just do a Disney podcast. And I was just in the right place at the right time. Everybody was looking for ice cream. I just happened to see 3 friends in the pavilion at the same time. But we had them going, and that was kind of an icebreaker. And then we talked Philadelphia sports. But they were the kind, I'm sure, that booed booed Santa Claus, but it was fun meeting them. And her husband was active military, so I appreciated them. They were so nice. Long story, not a very fun story, but it was kind of funny because what's his story? Like, no, I'm just a dude who does a podcast in his basement. Yeah, I'm not, anybody. Anyway, so let's talk about today's show. Some hot takes from my, not really hot takes, but first thoughts from my trip at Walt Disney World. And now you're going to hear this on Monday because I'm going to record Monday's trip report. Is going to be my trip report with Ricky. We're going to record it tomorrow. And I'm going to get more in depth on things where I can have the conversation with Ricky. But I just wanted to jump in here and kind of give what I'm thinking, 15 hours removed from the trip. First of all, I titled the show We're Back. And that's what I'm going to also title the show for Monday. And I don't mean we're back in the sense that I'm home from Walt Disney World. I'm doing this in the sense that we're back at Walt Disney World. I mean, it feels almost as normal as it did in 2019. Now that we have fireworks, the biggest thing for me that made the difference was no masks. Except for on the buses and the Skyliner and the Skyliner. If you're in a Skyliner bucket with your own family, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Boats, they didn't require them on the boats, at least the boats that my family rode. I didn't ride any boats. I did ride a couple of boats. And I don't know if we wore masks. I don't think we did wear masks because we're outside. Anyway, you barely have to wear a mask at Walt Disney World right now. And I'm telling you, for the summer trips, we were there obviously from July 5th to the 15th. It's wonderful to not have to wear a mask, to not have to stop to take a drink of soda, and to just enjoy yourself. So that was a definite jump for me to we're back. This Sunday, of course, I wasn't there, but it's a huge thing. The Epcot monorail line opens. That's a huge thing. Everybody's been missing that. But the biggest thing, the biggest reason I think that we're back in air quotes is the fireworks, because my goal, we went down on the 5th, right? Because we were supposed to go down on the 6th of July, but we went down a day early because I was so scared of that hurricane of course it's named Elsa, right? And my wife got up and, they thought it was going to, go over Orlando, could grow. It turned out being nothing. But I didn't want the airport to close and miss out on my trip. I've been looking forward to this with the family for a long time. And so we got down there. So we're there from the 5th to the 15th. Didn't have tickets on the 5th or the 6th. And I'll tell you what, those were very enjoyable days. The 5th, we just kind of hung around. We stayed at Pop Century both nights. We hung around Pop Century. We swam. We rode the Skyliner. And then on the 6th, we did Disney Springs in the morning. And then we had, a meal at Olivia's and so forth. But it was great not having theme park tickets because we didn't have the pressure of going into the parks. We just eased our way. We swam. We relaxed. We had fun. We were just enjoying being in the environment. But on the 7th, we had tickets for the Magic Kingdom. And I was so excited, looking forward to seeing fireworks again, because we have not seen them for quite a while, right? Since the parks closed. And so we went over and we saw Happily Ever After. And I'll tell you what, I have a picture on Instagram, and you can go back and again at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram. I take a ton of pictures and I share almost every picture that I take for everybody to see. The picture of where we were standing, we were on Main Street USA, but up by the rings where the hub grass is. We were pretty close, where the kind of the outer circle meets Main Street USA, center on, because I want to get a good shot for this first viewing of Happily Ever After on the return. And I'll tell you what, this was the moment that I said, oh my gosh, like we're coming out of this, like things are getting back to normal. Because I mean, I've told you this, I enjoy pretty decent sized crowds on my Disney vacations. Crowds mean energy and excitement. You get to see a lot of cool stuff. You see interactions of families. You see first timers. You see folks that have been there 50 times. Maybe they're on their 50th anniversary and they're, coming back to see this place. You just, as fun as it was. And I went last August, 3 weeks after the parks opened. And as fun as that was to own the place and be like Elvis, it was also sad in a way, because you didn't get to see those moments as often of things happening spontaneously. Yes, you got to ride a bajillion rides before the park closed at 6 p.m., but you didn't get to be there at night. You didn't get to linger. You didn't get to enjoy an ice cream from the Plaza Ice Cream. And I had that many times. You missed out on those traditional things that have, at least I have done that have made my Disney vacation. So anyway, when we saw the fireworks, I mean, it was 2019 again because nobody had a mask on. A few people did, not very many at all. And I mean, people were shoulder to shoulder from the castle all the way back to town square. I mean, just shoulder to shoulder. We were packed in like sardines. And there was an energy, like there was an anticipation for these fireworks to start. People were so excited. And I'm telling you what, when that show started, the cameras came up, people cheered. I mean, there was just an excitement like people had never seen fireworks. And it was incredible. I mean, it was kind of like if you on a special holiday, maybe New Year's Eve, 4th of July, when the fireworks start, everybody really gets amped up for that. But typically on, say, April 17th, people don't get as amped up for fireworks. It's just like, oh, let's go see the fireworks before we go back to the hotel. The thing was, there's that quote, absence makes the heart grow fonder. That was absolutely this. I mean, I've kind of churned on Happily Ever After. At first, I didn't like it as much because it replaced Wishes, and I really liked Wishes. And then I really kind of started to fall in love with it. But I'll tell you what, it was a great show. It was a great show because it was fireworks, but it was that moment where it seemed like everybody in the Magic Kingdom kind of bonded over, the fact that we all want our Happily Ever After. We all want to, find those great moments in life and embrace them. No matter what, you can go the distance. That could be, I perceive it as trying to run a marathon or a dopey challenge. Somebody else could perceive that as, going the distance in a battle against cancer or a job. You start off at the lowest levels in your company. You're going to go the distance till you're the CEO. You're the top of the chart. I love that because I think that we're all standing there again, packed in like sardines, and there was an energy. I mean, it was almost like you could crowd surf all the way from the castle back to the train station, but it was everybody kind of having their own take on this fireworks show. And I love that. Like, I was so glad that it was back. And that was one of the things that told me, I think we're back. Of course, like things are still missing. Columbia Harbor House is not open. Some of the resorts aren't open, but we got good news during my trip. Hey, welcome back, Port Orleans, Riverside, French Quarter, All-Star Music, All-Star Sports. Good times are coming. I love those resorts. I'm so excited for that stuff. But we are back. And like I kept talking with Scott about this. I'm one of those people that kind of tries to see the big picture when it comes to things like this. And we were there. Our last day was recording this on July 16th. Our last day was yesterday, July 15th. And if you recall the history of all this mess of the pandemic, last year on July 15th is when Epcot and Animal Kingdom opened for the first time. The parks had been closed since March. So in 1 year, as slowly as this process seemed to go, it was a painfully slow process. If last year, on July, sometime in July where there was nobody in the parks. I mean, you had to wear a mask. You were so restricted on what you could do, the 6 feet distancing, hardly anybody was in a vehicle together on the rides. And to look at what it looked like last week, I mean, we have made a tremendous amount of progress in 1 year and everybody just needs these trips. I've gotten this message from so many of my guests at the Magic for Less, and I cannot agree more. I feel the emails that I get is that, everybody needs this next trip. It's not that, you're excited about going on your annual pilgrimage to Walt Disney World. This is the one that's going to be special. This is the one that says, we've sacrificed, we locked down, we virtual schooled our kids at the kitchen table for months on end. Some of us have battled COVID. Some of us have, had different employment changes because of how a service job might have gone. It might have gone away and you'd have to do your job a new way, maybe even moving forward. So everybody needs that next vacation. And you just saw it. People were joyous to be there. And the crowds were a good thing to me. The crowds were a good thing. It was exciting to see things like, and I know this, you get it. If you're listening, especially if you're a patron, you're all in on the Disney stuff. I mean, I'm telling you what, and this is so weird. The corn dog nuggets at Casey's tasted so good, dipped in some cheese. It's weird, right? I mean, they're probably the same corn dog nuggets I could get up at my grocery store. I could melt some cheese down and eat them at the kitchen table. But I'm telling you what, they came from Casey's. I was eating them in the Magic Kingdom. I wasn't able to do that until right now because it opened when we were there. Same for the ice cream in the Main Street Plaza ice cream parlor. Didn't have my All American Sundae. Didn't matter. I got a Sundae and it was fine. It was great. Actually, I got ice cream cookie sandwich too one night. It was so good. So we stayed at Pop Century. I'll tell you what, just because I don't want to go too long. This is a mini podcast. You're going to get the details on Monday's show, but you guys deserve kind of the first take of this. So we stayed at Pop Yacht and Caribbean Beach. Pop was just kind of an add-on at the beginning, but I'll tell you what, Pop Century is a rockin' resort. It's fun. We took Mallory's best friend, Meg, or one of her good friends, Megan, that cheers with her. And she had never done any of this. I'll tell you what, we wore her out. She's one of those, she's 14. She sleeps in, she was a trooper, right? I would come in for my runs at 7:15, open up the curtains so they can kind of start to wake up. I mean, but think about it. 7:15 is like halfway through the morning for me. I get up at 5:30 to run. But for a 14-year-old, my daughter's 13, 7:15 is still pretty early, right? I mean, probably 10 o'clock's like, start stirring in under normal circumstances. But she was a trooper, never complained, had a good time. She doesn't talk a whole lot. She's super quiet. I'm going to try to get her on a podcast. Doubt I will. Trying to get Mallory, who knows? But, she was a trooper. And the thing was, I wanted to show her, and Mallory knows Walt Disney World so well, but I wanted to give my wife, because she hadn't been there since 2019, Mallory and Megan a great experience. And Pop Century, we all agreed, was a ton of fun. Real quick on the Hurricane Elsa front, the only thing that happened on our trip was that it rained the second morning we were at Pop Century. I could not run. Right. That's it. If you guys know me, that killed me. I could have run. Pop Century doesn't have treadmills, so I couldn't go on a treadmill. I would have had to run outside in the rain. And the thing was, it wasn't raining that hard. There were like little bands of rain where it got really heavy for a few minutes. But it got a little windy. I could have gone out there because I did bring my rain gear, but I didn't want to look like the idiot that's running through a hurricane because he has to run through a hurricane. So I decided not to. What I did, though, I got creative. I wanted to fill my circle on my Apple Watch. So I walked around the 50s building. We were on the 4th floor in the 50s, building 1. So I just walked around the perimeter of that building up on level 4. I think it was like 48 times or something for like an hour and a half. And I got, about 3/4 of the way through my circle, and I knew the rest of the day I'd fill it up. So that was kind of fun. It was actually a really cool thing to do because you could feel the rain, the bands coming in, but it wasn't anything, we get bigger thunderstorms here in St. Louis. So it kind of missed Orlando, kind of petered out. What else can I give you? So Pop Century was great. We did luggage transfer. A lot of people ask about that. It works fine from resort to resort, but it can take quite a bit to, like one night we didn't get, when we were at Caribbean Beach from Yacht, we didn't get our suitcases until about 8:00 that night. And we had sent them 10 o'clock that morning. So it gets there, but pack a day bag if you need something. That's hugely important. Yacht Club was great. We had a nice garden view room where we could see Stormalong Bay. I could see the flying jib slide from my bed. We could also see Crescent Lake. It was kind of in an alcove. If you know where in Yacht Club, there's a little pavilion. Actually, one of our listeners was married there. I talked to them while we were down there. There's a little gazebo pavilion type thing in a grassy area over on the Swan side of the resort. And there's a Cupid actually on the top of the gazebo. We were looking right over that. So it was a really nice room. Of course, they're refurbished. The kids love that. It was really nice to go from Pop Century with 4 people to Yacht Club with 4 people. It had a lot more space. That was nice. Caribbean Beach was great as well. We had a room in Aruba, building 51. That worked out great. That's the building that is closest to Jamaica. So we could kind of split the difference in the Skyliner stations. We were right in the middle of Riviera Station and Caribbean Beach Station. The bus stop, I think we were actually a bit closer to the Jamaica station, bus stop, bus shelter than the Aruba one. And Jamaica was one stop upstream on where they pick you up at Caribbean Beach. So you'd have a better shot at getting a seat. So if you're going to stay at Caribbean Beach, I would highly recommend Jamaica or Aruba, probably Aruba. Building 51 worked out great for us because you're right there at the bridge to cut across the lake there to get to the Old Port Royale. And the girls really, really liked Caribbean Beach. They really liked all 3, but they were, it was our last 4 nights. And my biggest concern was that we're going from a value to a deluxe to a moderate. And I thought there would be a big fall off, as far as what the girls expected. going from Yacht Club to Caribbean Beach, but they loved it mainly because the room was not, we had a ceiling fan. We're huge ceiling fan people. And so the ceiling fan was a plus. The room was great. It was a fifth sleeper. The girls like pulling down the little bed and kind of lounging on it during the day. But the biggest selling point obviously was the Skyliner, and they like the pool too. But the Skyliner, I mean, it's amazing. Our last day yesterday, we were at the studios. We had a 6:50 flight, so we had to be on Magical Express at 3:45. So we got to stay at the studios for a long time. And the thing was, we knew we could just directly walk out of the studios, get on the Skyliner, and you're back at the resort in 5 minutes from the time you sit down on the Skyliner. And all we had to do was walk across the resort. That took about 10 or 15 minutes, get your luggage, and you're ready to go because you're already checked out of your room at that point. Just really 3 great resorts. I can't, recommend them enough. So if you're looking for an upcoming trip, both, I really liked Pop Century in the value category. You can't beat it. Skyliner, great rooms, lots of fun stuff. Just has a good energy. It's got a great store. Everything Pop. Yacht Club. I mean, you're in the middle of everything, right? We walked to the studios. We walked to Epcot, Stormalong Bay. We swam there. Just it's. You can't beat that really either. I mean, if you're Yacht Beach, either one's fine. I prefer Yacht. I just like over on that side. And then Caribbean Beach was a lot of fun. But of course, I'm a Riverside fan too. So now that it's back, welcome back, my friend. We'll see how that goes. See some other highlights. I will tell you, being a Midwesterner, because this is Mike in the Midwest, getting up early in the morning when you're on a Florida vacation. Now, I'm a runner, so I'm always up early. But even if you're not, I want to encourage you to try to get up early for at least a couple days of your trip, because I'm telling you what, grab your camera. And there's always water at the resorts. If you got Riverside or French Quarter, you got Sassagoula River in the back. If you're at Caribbean Beach, there's a big lake in the middle. Riviera, same thing. It shares the lake. Yacht Club, you got Crescent Lake. Same for beach and boardwalk. Pop Century, you got Hourglass Lake. The thing is, sunrises in Florida. If you're not from Florida, if you are from Florida, you probably take these for granted. But I'll tell you what, man, a sunrise in Florida on a Disney vacation is amazing because it starts your day. And even during the day, I say this all the time. I say this to Scott, and I'm a nerd like this. I like weather. But the thing is, like, just the sky and the clouds just look amazing in photos at Walt Disney World. Middle of the day, they look great. But, man, it's sunrise. And it's sunset, too. It's just amazing to take some pictures over a body of water with that sun coming up and the reflections, the clouds in the sky turning pink and orange. Get up early and just enjoy it. I mean, I went years and years in life without seeing a sunrise because I slept in. And I know we're all exhausted at Walt Disney World. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I can't hardly even concentrate right now. I'm so tired because 10 days of Walt Disney World just wears you out. But get up and take some sunrise shots. They're amazing. So a couple of things that we did on this trip that were highlights, which I'm going to dive into. We're going to do a full show on this topic. We played golf at the Magnolia. Thanks to Scotty G. He put this all together for us. We joke around and called it the BOGP Open, but I'll tell you what, I think this thing is starting to take on a life of its own, and we're going to try to see what we can do for Give Kids the World. Maybe do a golf outing with a bunch of folks from the show down in Central Florida somewhere, hopefully at Walt Disney World. I don't know how they would work with us on that. I don't think they would, but we're going to explore some options. And we even thought we've got a lot of ideas. Folks that don't golf, we could do a mini golf kind of thing over at maybe Winter Summerland or Fantasia Gardens. But the thing is, we played the Magnolia, 4 of us. It was myself, Scott, my good friend Phil, and our good friend Wade. And we just had a blast. I mean, we had a blast. It was great playing. We played on the Magnolia. And if you think about it, we played on a course that Tiger Woods played on. Arnold Palmer played on. Jack Nicklaus played this course. We all kind of agreed that Lake Buena Vista, the new course over at Disney Springs, it's newer and it's more exciting as far as pure golf. Like, it's got an island green. It's got, a little bit more pizzazz to the course itself. But the Magnolia and the Palm, it's the other side of the other 18. Beautiful, wide open courses. We had such a good time. I only lost 14 balls on the round out of 18. So that wasn't too bad because I had 14. No, I don't think wait, I only had 12 and I had 4 left over. So I only lost 8 balls. I'm actually doing pretty good. The cool thing about the Magnolia, though, is that on each tee box, they had a highlight. They had like a placard talking about like what's the greatest thing that's ever happened on this hole by a professional golfer. So a lot of them talked about Tiger doing something, or Ernie Els came back on this hole, he eagled it, and that led him to win this tournament in 87 or something. It was really cool to read the stories of each of the holes. And it was just, hanging out with your buddies, right? Playing golf. I'm not a golfer, but I hacked out there. We had a good time. We had a great time. And so this is one of those things that I want to encourage you, if you've never done something new on a trip. And I've played golf one other time in 2018 on marathon weekend with a bunch of the guys, but this was just, it was something I wouldn't do otherwise. And I'm not a good golfer, but it was fine. I got out there, swung the club. We had a good time. Yeah. The Magnolia was great. We got to see Shades of Green, kind of the outskirts of it. That was kind of neat. Never seen that. Always curious about Shades of Green. I'm so glad they have that for our military. But yeah, golfing, and we'll do a whole show about Disney golf, about like what it costs, what the pro shop was like, the golf carts, the holes themselves. There were some deer on the course, just stuff like that. Scott and I are going to talk about that here in a couple weeks. How about this? We got to go to Maya Grill. Maya Grill's back, my favorite restaurant besides Olivia's, and they've made the menu so much better because it's like the old menu. They have fajitas back. They have more things that Americans are looking for on a Mexican restaurant menu. They had a margarita flight, which we had, and the smooth jazz guy was playing. I mean, it was just like old times back at Coronado at Maya Grill. So we really, really enjoyed that. We also did Sebastian's Bistro. We'll talk about that on the podcast. Just quick, for our patrons here. Yes, it was really good. It was really good, and it was a good value too. I had 2 mornings in a row. I had the Madame Croque, or whatever that's called, the sandwich over at Riviera when we were at Caribbean Beach, because I could just mobile order it after my run, walk to the Riv, take my refillable mug, get my sandwich. Oh, man, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It was so good. That's another thing. We did the refillable mugs this trip because we were down there for 10 days. The mugs were $19 a person. I didn't order Coke Zero because, again, when you're changing resorts 3 times, it's hard to move your Coke Zero from one to the other. And the refillable mugs worked out great. I mean, I can't even tell you how many sodas we had. And fountain soda is always better too. So we did those for the first time in forever. See what I did there? And we thought we got a good value out of that. We played mini golf at Winter Summerland one night. That was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that. Let's see here. Of course, we saw Epcot Forever. We saw it 3 times at Epcot. Great show. I know it's a temporary show, and I can see the way it was written. It was meant to be a bridge to Harmonious because it talks about a whole new world. And that was kind of, I think, trying to make that transition to, Epcot's going to be a whole new world. We're going to have a new fireworks show. We're going to have a new future world. We're going to have these neighborhoods. And, again, I didn't appreciate the fireworks shows at Disney as much as I do now because we missed them. So that was fun. The girls, we gave them, they're 13 and 14. We gave them some freedom this trip to kind of go around the park by themselves and see what they could do. Cause Mallory knows her way around. Of course they have iPhones, and Mallory, I see her on, Find My Friends. So I know where she is and stuff like that. So they got to do that and they had a good time. So let me tell you this, because I know we're running long here. I don't want to go too long on this. We'll dive into so much more on the Monday podcast. We scored a 50s primetime ADR an hour before the ADR happened. And this was on Wednesday. So it was a couple days ago. We were hungry. We were kind of looking for something to do. Didn't have an ADR that night. I was scrolling around on My Disney Experience. And the thing was, I looked for 50s and sci-fi for months. Never got them. So never give up on your ADR. We're sitting in the hotel room, just kind of chilling and relaxing about 4:00. We'd been in a park, we were kind of all getting ready to go. We're going to go, have some fun that night at Epcot. And all of a sudden for 4 people, 50s primetime popped up for like 5:20. It was an hour away. And so I yelled to Pam, I said, you know what, 50s primetime, and that's her favorite restaurant. It's Mallory's favorite restaurant. I yelled, hey, 50s primetime just popped up for 4. It's in an hour. Yay or nay? She's like, yeah, let's do it. And the thing is, being on the Skyliner allowed that to happen because we just quickly kind of changed clothes. Boom. We were on the Skyliner. We were at the studios, probably 7 or 8 minutes, walked back to 50s. We were there in plenty of time. And I'm telling you what, the sampler was worth it. It's so good. So good. And the PB&J shake, of course, is amazing. So we did that. We spent some time that night, went over to Epcot. We did 3 parks that day. Got to spend some time with our buddies, Wade and his wife, Missy, and Scott and Elizabeth, and myself and Pam. We hung out at La Cava del Tequila. In our last day, I'm just going to tell you what, yesterday, I'm back in the office today. Yesterday, I flew the Millennium Falcon with my wife. I rode Rise of the Resistance with my best friends, and got to see First Time in Forever with my daughter, like I said. and it was amazing. But here I am, I'm living my dream. So kind of full circle here. So much more to talk about, but I want to give you the first highlights and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, the crowds are back. We're back. Fireworks are back. It made it feel awesome. No masks. And I met so many of our listeners on this trip. It was incredible. I've met quite a few listeners on previous trips, but it was nothing compared to how many folks that came up and said hello, got some pictures, talked about the show, talked about trips, and that means the world to me. So if you're one of those folks who dropped by and said hello, you made my day. I've just got to tell you that from the bottom of my heart. That you listened to the show and that we got to meet for a brief moment at Walt Disney World together. You took some time out of your trip to say hi. That meant the world. So thank you for doing that. I have so many pictures of getting to meet listeners and other stories. I got to talk about some other stories, but we'll do that on Monday. I don't want to go too long here, but I want to give you the first hit here on your Friday because I never want to miss a show for my great patrons here on the podcast. And I'm looking at a picture here of Scott with all these meatballs at Maria and Enzo's. That's definitely a story I'll have to talk about on Monday. Just popped up. All right, I'm going to duck out of here again. Thank you so much for your support here on Patreon. It is sure appreciated so that we can get these shows together. We are going to be back next Thursday with another Mike in the Midwest podcast. But until we get together and you'll get the full story on the trip here on Monday on the podcast feed, you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty. See y'all later. Bye.